Every day with Frankie Fergus is a gift.
This kid has fought off 10 years of a medical diagnosis that wasn't going to give him a chance to live.
Frankie started having breathing trouble almost immediately after birth. No one knew quite why until a baseball-sized growth on his neck made a doctor suspect NF, neurofibromatosis. It's a genetic condition causing tumors to grow around nerve fibers.
I left the office and I collapsed. I just was on my knees. Because we didn't know. We didn't know what it meant. We didn't know what the future was. We didn't know anything.
All they knew was doctors said NF has no cure and no treatments for tumors that often are inoperable. The family was sent to a specialist in Philadelphia.
They came in and said, it's one of the most severe cases in a child this age that we've ever seen. He certainly will never walk. He'll never talk. He'll never have the abilities more than an infant.
Pretty much we were told, go home, hold your child, enjoy the time you have.
They did, but they also decided to fight back. At 6 months old, a doctor gave Frankie a trach to help him breathe and a feeding tube for nutrition. Then they waited.
We knew this wasn't solving the tumor issue.
By the time Frankie was 6 years old, the tumors had grown beyond his trach, compressing his airway so much air was only getting through a space the width of 2 dimes.
It was basically killing him. These tumors were cutting off his airway, so he was at a point where he wasn't going to be able to breathe again.
Doctors can't simply remove the tumors because they're so wrapped up in his nerves and tissues. The only idea they offered was a life-threatening surgery to perhaps scrape away some of the growth. Still, doctors kept searching, and that landed them at Cincinnati Children's Hospital, where for the first time, they heard something new.
Options and hope.
First, the Cincinnati doctors stented open Frankie's airway. Then, in 2016, he became their first patient in a clinical trial for AstraZeneca's drug Koselugo, research funded by Children's Tumor Foundation.
It's like if you look at the brakes in a car, they have the front brakes, but not the back brakes. Their cell division is still controlled. It's still kind of okay. But of course, if they now lose the front brakes, then the car can't stop anymore, and cell division just keeps going. It's kind of putting in some set of artificial brakes, if you want.
This was Frankie when he started the trial.
He wasn't very interactive. He didn't smile. He couldn't put his head up or down. He couldn't move left or right. He couldn't put his tongue in his mouth. But the breathing was the worst.
3 years later, his main tumors have shrunk 33%.
So funny!
More than enough to bring back Frankie's smile.
The cognitive things just skyrocketed. Before we started, his IEP was very social based at school, just making sure he has social time and getting to interact with kids. And then all of a sudden, the teachers were like, hey, he knows something, he's learning. So we started learning colors and shapes.
And then there was this.
Come here.
Frankie started walking.
Nice job, bud.
We went through so many years of hearing there's nothing we can do.
Nice job.
And now there's something that can be done. There's options.
We've always talked about hope, but this is not hope. This is real. This drug works.
In mid-April, Koselugo became the first drug to earn Food and Drug Administration approval to treat children with NF1.
We can finally go now to the families and tell them that there is something.
Every day now brings new victories for Frankie. He finally can communicate with a device and some sign language. This is thank you.
Signing I love you was a fun one for us.
Watching Frankie find his world and his place in it brings faith of a brighter future, opening the door not just for their family, but for others.
And that feeling of hopelessness is one of the worst feelings you can feel as a parent. And any little bit of hope makes a tremendous difference.
Giving other families a chance to maybe fight this disease like we have is real encouraging to us.